Hi, I'm Rachel from Rachel's Guest Tutor at Pretty Witty Cakes, and in today's little free tutorial I'm going to talk a little bit about glue and gluing things or sticking things and how we stick them on cakes and what's the best thing to use. It can be a little bit confusing because there's various different products you can get, and yeah, I'm just going to talk you through a few of the different methods. So a product when I first started out in cake making, which is sold as an edible glue, is this one. So you can just pre-buy it. It's, let's take the lid off. It's fairly liquid, nice and clear. It's just called edible glue, okay? And it contains cellulose, water, thickener, and some cellulose, okay? And that's pretty much what makes it sticky. We use similar products, or similar products are contained within our sugar paste or fondant that we cover our cakes with, and also our floral paste that we use for making our sugar flowers, okay? All similar things. So this kind of product is great for sticking, maybe you're making a little figurine or a little model, maybe you're making a little model rabbit. When your product that you're sticking together, let's get a bit out, is still soft, so say you had a little ball and another little ball, and you wanted to stick those two balls together, you really wouldn't want to use royal icing if you were doing quite a detailed little figurine, because the royal icing would squidge out the sides, okay? So this is where this product would be really useful. You would just get a small dab of it. It's clear, it doesn't make a mess, and it'll just adhere to your soft surface, and then you can push the two together and then sit them somewhere nice and carefully to dry, okay? If your two items that you wanted to stick together were completely dry, so this is floral paste, so say they had dried completely hard, you'd really struggle to use something like this glue to stick the two of them together because it's almost got nothing to sort of soak into and adhere to. So, whoops, so that would be a really bad product to use if this was dry. So if we come across here to some little flowers that I've made using the same floral paste, they're just not going to stick together using this. So at that point, if you needed to stick something like this, you would need to use maybe a royal icing. Royal icing is going to dry nice and hard and nice and quickly, and it is going to stick to this surface. So if I wanted to stick this flower onto my cake, again, this sort of liquid glue isn't going to work well for that kind of thing because this is just going to slide down. It's not adhering to those two dry surfaces. So if you wanted to glue a hard, dry flower to a nice, dry fondant surface, then royal icing is your thing, okay? And you can see here I've put my royal icing in a tube, and we're going to put a little blob on there. And then this is going to stick really nicely and dry really hard, and one is going to stick to the other really nice and cleanly. The other good thing about using this as a glue is you can colour this up. So if you didn't want to see the white coming out the sides, you could colour this brown. Say your cake was green, you could colour this green. So if you did see any little bits coming out from underneath, then you wouldn't notice your glue, okay? So this is a lovely good clear glue. Now this is a pre-bought product in its little tub, and it's going to cost you £2 or £3. Me at home, I get through an awful lot of this stuff, so I make my own, and I just wanted to show you how I make my own because it's really, really cheap and really, really easy. But you do need to buy one product. Here's two different manufacturers here. This product is called CMC, okay? Sugar Flare have done one, and I'm not quite sure who that company is that's done that one. Basically, it's like a powdered cellulose, okay, and it contains a thickener. It's a bit like wallpaper paste. So in these little pots here, this is just water, and in this little pot there was some water, and I sprinkled a little bit of this powder into here, okay, and you can see this isn't ready yet, but you can see how the water is soaking in and starting to thicken it up. It almost behaves in exactly the same way as wallpaper paste, okay? So these little lumps are all a bit claggy, and I promise you, if you walk away and come back to this in an hour or so, you won't see those lumpy bits. You might find you need to add a little bit more water if it's a little bit too thick. Let's rest my brush there. So just to show you, for this amount of water, you'd probably just need like a 1/4 teaspoon. Let's get a little bit out. It's got a bit stuck. 1/4 teaspoon of this powder. So just sprinkle it across the top like that, and then you would literally just mix it in. And I did this about 20 minutes ago, and you can see the difference, how it started to soak in. And that is going to be the equivalent of this. And you can see how much powder we've used. These little pots are maybe 1 or 2 pounds each, and that is going to make you tons and tons and tons and tons of glue. Okay, so this is what I use at home, and essentially it's the same thing. But one little thing to note is that this doesn't contain any preservative. So when you've made your glue, this does contain a preservative, so that when the lid's gone back on, you could keep that up until the use by date that they've probably got on here somewhere. You can keep that for a long time. This I would just keep for 2 or 3 days. And when I'm at home, I make up my glue in this little pot with a lid. And I just make maybe about 1/2 centimetre at a time. So I've got enough to use on the project that I'm doing. And then I'll pop the lid on, and that's my glue. And it's cost me just pence to make. So that's a really fab tip to make your own glue. Also, this glue is great if you're making little sugar flowers. If you just dip the ends of your hooks in a little bit of that glue, and then you take your soft item and then just sit it on the end. It's going to take some time to dry. I think that's the big difference, is that this clear cellulose type glue is going to take some time. So this is something you're going to need to put off to one side. Oh, can't push that in. Push it into your polystyrene. Oh, that's a hard bit. Can't even get that in there. Just leave it off to one side in a polystyrene dummy overnight, so that dries nice and secure. Whereas this little flower that we've just stuck on just a mere 5 or 10 minutes ago is going to dry quite quickly, within 20 minutes or so, and it's not going to fall off your cake. Okay. One more little thing about glues. You can, when we're sticking sugarcraft things, if you're in a real hurry and you don't have time to wait overnight for this to stick onto this, what you can do is use a lighter like glue. And if I'm in a real hurry, if I want to stick the two together, then I will just heat the end of my wire until it's got really, really hot. And then, where's my ball? And then whilst it's still hot, sink it in, and it smells like candy floss. It's amazing. It will burn the sugar, and that'll help it adhere to the end of the wire, and you could probably just leave that for about half an hour and you'd be able to start using it and start applying your petals to that. Okay, so that's a little bit about glues today. I hope that's helped you. Really, really simple, cheap way of making your own glue. If I were you, I'd grab yourself a pot of CMC and never buy yourself ready-made glue again.